The past is nothing more than a memory, and the future an imagining. All of our power is in the now, is in the present moment. In a certain sense, whenever we recall our past, we're actually recalling the memory that we have of that past event. And this gets stored in our subconscious and is connected to certain limiting beliefs that we take on about what is possible. Because this is the story, right? The story is like the code that is running in the background. If you want to know what someone's beliefs are, look at their story. Because until we are able to take the perspective of the witness and be able to observe these past memories and things that we assume to be about ourselves as true, and we're able to question those beliefs about the past, the more that we're able to see what our beliefs are. Because until we question them, they're personal truths. Now, today I wanted to dive into a really powerful process called the revision. And revision is a technique that I learned from a metaphysical teacher named Neville Goddard, that he essentially described how you can actually go into your memories of the past and you can revise them, right? And you can do this for things from your distant past, from your childhood, from things that were pivotal in your life that then caused certain events in your past to happen a certain way. And you can also do this for just stuff throughout your own day. Like, this is something that I've been doing every night when I go to sleep, is that I look back upon the events of the day and I look at things that I wanted to change. And I imagined that in that past event, I actually lived out the scene the way that I wanted to. Now, I've used this, for example, I had a day where I woke up late and I wasn't feeling inspired. So then I went back in and I imagined myself waking up inspired and waking up full of energy, waking up early and immediately getting on my purpose and doing the things that I know will help me to move the mark. And today I woke up like automatically. I did this going up until the point I went to sleep last night and really got into the feeling state. And this is one of the powerful things about the feeling is the secret. Like the magic of your feeling state is that as you're going to sleep, that as you're starting to relax, your brainwave states start to go into deeper states of like theta. And then when you're in deep sleep, you're in gamma, right? When you're in fully like active waking mind, that's like beta, and more like relaxed, studying, really in the zone, that's kind of more alpha. Now, when you start going into those deeper states, you can utilize that point when you're going to sleep, and it'll impress your subconscious mind with the state you fall asleep with. So I have been going to sleep and getting into that space of revising the past and then envisioning myself now waking up feeling inspired. And it's like those things that I now am putting into my daily routine. I'm getting that momentum and that energy going as I'm going to sleep. Then I'm waking up and meditating. So it's like now you're bridging that sleep and that waking state. You're waking up as that version of yourself, because it's almost like every time you go to sleep is like a mini ego death, if you think about it. Like every single day we're reborn with the sun. We wake up from our dream state, from our unconscious, and come into consciousness. And we have a certain self-image. This is your self-identity. If you look at the power of the I am, right? The I am becomes whatever it identifies as. Whatever follows I am, whoever you believe yourself to be, whatever your story is, this is the equation of self-identity. This is from which the consciousness, the formless, comes into form and plays the character of you in the waking dream called life. Because this is a waking dream and we're just living a certain potentiality in the quantum field. So as we go in and we revise these past events, then I found myself waking up inspired, immediately made a guided meditation, did my practices, got on my daily coaching program that I'm receiving from some support from right now, and then came here and got this inspiration, and everything is like in a certain flow and I'm feeling very inspired, I'm actually feeling like I am the version of myself that I went to sleep with. And what I've been finding really key about that is that as I'm drifting off into sleep, before I'm in a state of full appreciation, right? Full at one mint, atonement at one mint with that state of consciousness. Now, revision helps do this because what happens is that I've also been using this for going back into past events where I had certain meanings and created. For example, when I was a kid, I had a split between my parents, and a certain point as I was growing up, my name changed. And later on in my life, I reconnected with my birth father, and I went through a question of identity and which name I would take, and I kind of would always want to like change my name back and forth. So I actually went back into that memory and reframed the meaning of it and revised the scene for me to actually feel that as I transitioned into being raised in a new setting as a kid and being surrounded by a new family, and rather than thinking that the reason it happened is that I was abandoned by my birth father and therefore I wasn't loved, I went back and I revised the scene and actually changed the meaning of it, that no matter where I go, I am loved. Everybody chose what they chose in that situation the best that they could, and actually it happened because I'm loved and because I'm worthy. I got to have a change in my setting, in my upbringing, in my family, and in my name to show me that no matter where I go and no matter what happens in my life, there are always people there to support me, and that name actually has a beautiful meaning to me, and it means prosperity. Like you can literally go in and you can say that it means that I'm fortunate. Like you can go in and you can change the scene. And I even went back and I imagined, instead of imagining all those negative memories, I went back and I reinforced positive memories. And you can even go back and you can alter scenes, right? I went back to scenes where I was bullied or picked on, and I imagined myself being loved and appreciated by everybody. I imagined times in my life where I really struggled and I failed, and that I created a meaning that means that I'm a failure and I'm always going to fail. And I went back and I revised that scene, and I saw myself throughout growing up and coming into adult life always having successes. And you go back and you create these scenes. And for example, like for years I've wanted to have this channel go big. So I went back, and instead of focusing on those memories of all the times that I've made videos and they didn't go big, I just imagined that I already in the past was who I want to be and who I am, right? Who I am now, creating a new meaning. So this isn't just revising the scene. It's like you're giving yourself the leeway of imagination. And it can be a little tricky because it feels like you're almost like you're lying or you're betraying the past. But the imagination is your workshop. You have the leeway to go back and revise these scenes. And the thing is I feel that this is a bridging of belief. Like when you're working at the level of identity, obviously you're not going to look in the mirror and see yourself as something that you're not going to believe yourself to be, right? Like I'm suddenly now a flying dragon with wings. I mean, obviously, you could imagine that. Like I could totally feel that I'm actually a flying dragon with wings, but like physically, I don't actually, have like physical wings coming out. So, like maybe I could say like I'm somebody who's constantly stepping into success, right? I love myself and I appreciate the things that I've done in my life that have allowed me to get to that point. Now, that's a little bit of mirror work, but going into revising is actually looking back into those past scenes and me revising those scenes and being like, actually feeling and remembering myself every single time I had a failure or a struggle, revising that scene to mean that I'm actually on the path of success and I actually have already succeeded in what I want, right? It already happened in the past. Like almost like I'm changing my past and I'm transferring into that timeline where every single time I've had nothing but success in my life. Like imagine if you could go back from the present moment and change the meaning of your past so that instead of feeling like you always failed in the past, now you feel like you've always been successful. Every single time I have always succeeded in my past. And you go back into those memories, those difficult memories, those challenging memories, those painful memories, and you can reframe the meaning of them and you can change and imagine a different scene that happened. Now, for certain scenes, I didn't necessarily feel like I wanted to fully change what happened. I wanted to change the meaning around this. Now, this is how I've kind of altered the practice to include reframing. And that's where you can look at these situations and you can just change the meaning around them. It's like a picture frame, almost like you're turning the frame and you're creating a new meaning of your past so that you can let it go, but so that you can also still allow the real memories that happen from your past that you want to take with you as your medicine, to be able to share your story, to be able with others. That's what I also realized about changing the past is like, there's certain things from my past that I don't want to change. They made me who I am today. So I feel like that's another thing that I haven't heard fully talked about yet with this process, is that there are certain things from our past that necessarily we don't want to change or revise. We just want to reframe the meaning around them. And that's where I looked at those past events from my childhood, where I created a meaning that I never needed to change my name. And I've always loved the name that I have. And what that did is actually started to change the pattern in the present, where now it's like, I love my name, I love who I am, I love what my life has caused me to become, and I can choose the different kinds of meanings from my past that I want to take forward with me. Because there are also like pearls and things to be gleaned from our past experience. And that's another thing of, when we're talking about, prayer or intention, or, the therapy or technology of aligning ourselves with divine intelligence, with consciousness, and being able to look at, there are different versions of ourselves living in different realities. Well, if everything has already been created, right? So when we're talking about creating the future now, collapsing the wave to the particle, assuming it as if it's already happened, this is the same thing with revision and reframing the past, is now you're actually going back into the past, and now you're changing the meaning and you're changing the energy of the past, changes the present. Just as when you align with that future reality, you can revise and reframe those things so that now it actually affects your present reality. So when we say all things are created, maybe in your literal past, right, your linear past of what you remember, and we also remember things differently sometimes than they happened necessarily objectively, because we all have our own subjective perspective. That's why like multiple people have different perspectives on the same event when they were at, because everybody sees it and interprets it and remembers it a different way. So that's where you have that leeway of being like, right, reality is malleable. So you can change the meaning of how that you interpret that. And I'm not saying bypassing the feelings that we have around those things. I believe it's really important to feel the feels and to allow ourselves to heal. At the same time, there's this point where, do you really want to drag that old meaning around with you? So just as we're saying everything has already been created, right? What that means is that all the realities, everything that you want already exists. Now, what if, time from a perspective of a nonlinear perspective is all happening simultaneously, and that even in your past version, there was an alternate version of you that already shifted into the place of fully living your purpose, of having all those successes that you want, of living the dream reality that you now want to live. And now what if you could connect with that past version of yourself and actually connect with the energy and the meaning of life that version of you would have been living up to the present? Now you're able to go back and change the meaning that you were ever not confident in the first place. And you're able to reprogram those subconscious patterns and change those feeling states. And now as you're falling asleep with that, and again, with the things that are happening throughout your day, if there's something that didn't go the way you wanted in your day, you can go back and revise that scene. You can imagine it happened the way you wanted it to. You can imagine how you felt as that was living. And now you're setting yourself up to wake up in that energy in your next day, and things are going to start going in that direction. So thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Tomorrow morning, we've got the most powerful way to start your day coming out. Make sure you've got the bell hit for notifications on that one. It's going to be coming out bright and early. Highly recommend trying out this meditation. Is going to help you to start your day with a high level of appreciation. Remembering that prayer as a technology is all about assuming the end state as though it's already done. And when we go and we give thanks, that's what brings us to oneness with it. It's not going in and continuing to ask and where is it and try to figure it out. It's going in and literally giving thanks as though it's already done. It's already been created. It's already been completed. Go to sleep, try to this revision technique, and then wake up and give thanks. Give thanks for what your life is going on already well in your life as well. Give thanks for all the things that you have that maybe others don't have. Sometimes we get so obsessed with the things not going the way that we want that we forget to give thanks for what we already have and all the blessings in our life. And sometimes it helps us to remind ourselves just how privileged and how blessed we are as a launching pad as well, to be able to bridge that energy into giving thanks for what it is that we're manifesting as though it's already happening. So thank you so much. Appreciate you hitting the thumbs up and leaving a comment on what you're doing to revise and reframe the past. And we'll see you on the next video. Blessings.